You know the crushing weight, that profound existential fatigue that defies logic, that makes success feel hollow and effort pointless. It's not just a bad mood. It is the deep, persistent whisper that says you are fundamentally broken. Society offers you diagnoses: chemical imbalance, clinical depression, situational stress. And while those are the mechanisms of your suffering, they rarely explain the why. They describe the symptoms, but they fail to address the fundamental spiritual contract you hold with the universe. We need to go deeper than brain chemistry. We need to talk about karma. Most people treat karma like a celestial ledger, a childish, transactional system of punishment and reward. You did a bad thing in the past, now you must suffer. This view is weak. It makes you a victim of history. The profound truth of Nichiren Buddhism redefines karma entirely. Karma is not punishment. It is potential energy.
It is the inescapable pattern of your life condition, woven across countless lifetimes, defining the precise stage upon which you must awaken. And here is the radical, empowering, and often terrifying truth. Your profound suffering, your depression, your anxiety, your chronic struggle was not a debt you had to pay. It was a mission you chose to accept. You are not stuck with this specific, heavy karma. You volunteered for it. This is the concept of voluntarily assumed karma, the life condition of the bodhisattva of the earth. You are carrying this weight because you are fundamentally equipped to overcome it, and by doing so, illuminate the path for everyone else trapped in the same darkness. You are the ultimate test pilot for the mystic law. You chose the hardest path to prove the law's absolute, undeniable power. Your darkness is not a sign of failure. It is the perfect, necessary stage you selected to manifest Buddhahood in the most challenging environment possible. To understand this profound diagnosis, you must look at the life of the man who risked everything to prove it, Nichiren Daishonin. His life was not one of quiet contemplation or temple comfort. It was a relentless, brutal, 70-year assault by the forces of opposition, an unrelenting manifestation of the deepest, most severe karma. He was born in 1222 in feudal Japan, a time of absolute chaos, famine, pestilence, civil war. He was the son of a fisherman, not a prince or a high priest. He saw the suffering of the common people and dedicated his life to finding the fundamental cause and the absolute cure. He spent years studying all the major schools of Buddhism, searching for the core principle. He realized that the various practices of his time, the complex rituals, the reliance on other Buddhas, the esoteric chants, were merely temporary medicine, distractions from the ultimate truth. He saw the suffering intensifying because people were looking outside themselves for salvation.
On April 28, 1253, at age 32, Nichiren declared his conclusion. He announced that the ultimate teaching of Shakyamuni Buddha, the Lotus Sutra, contained the single most essential mantra for immediate enlightenment: Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. This declaration was not a theological debate. It was a spiritual revolution. It was the moment he ignited the deepest, most severe karmic retribution against himself. He understood that if he was going to teach the law that could eradicate the karma of all humankind, he himself had to experience the full force of that karma. He had to draw it out, face it, and demonstrate the power of the law to transform it in real time. From that day forward, his life became a literal battlefield. He was immediately scorned by the established Buddhist schools who held immense political power.
He was attacked by the ruling government, who saw his teachings as treason because he insisted that the nation's reliance on false doctrines was the root cause of their disasters. He faced repeated assassination attempts. He was exiled, starved, and imprisoned. He was literally dragged to a beach to be executed at Tatsunokuchi. This was not bad luck. This was karma manifesting on a cataclysmic scale. But Nichiren never saw it as punishment. He saw it as proof. He wrote, "The greater the hardships befalling him, the greater the delight he feels because of his firm faith." Think about that line. The greater the hardship, the greater the delight. This is the mindset of the Bodhisattva who chose the suffering. He understood that every persecution, every betrayal, every moment of isolation was simply the necessary process of purifying his own fundamental life condition and simultaneously demonstrating the indestructibility of the law.
He was proving that no matter how deep the darkness, no matter how severe the karma, even the karma of being executed, it could be transformed instantly through the power of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. He did not pray for the hardships to stop. He prayed for the strength to endure them and the wisdom to use them. This is the central difference between a life lived in victimhood and a life lived as a bodhisattva. Nichiren took the most severe karma, the karma that should have destroyed him, and converted it into the absolute foundation for his enlightenment. He used his depression, his fear, his exile, and his near-death experiences as fuel. He used them as the ultimate proof that the law works. And if Nichiren Daishonin, facing exile and execution, could transform that karma, what does that say about the depression you are facing in the comfort of your modern life? It means that your struggle is your mission. Your darkness is your stage. You are not meant to merely survive this karma.
You are meant to conquer it, and in doing so, reveal the inherent power of your own life. This is the profound vision of the depressed bodhisattva. Your suffering is the key. Your suffering is the key because it is the arena where you prove the law. It is the crucible where the lead of your deepest, most painful karma is refined into the gold of absolute enlightenment. This is the principle known as Hensok Doku, changing poison into medicine. We must understand what poison means in this context. Poison is not merely temporary bad fortune. Poison is the deep-seated, life condition level suffering that threatens to destroy your purpose, your relationships, and ultimately, your will to live. For many of you listening, that poison is chronic clinical depression. It is the existential dread that paralyzes action. Conventional understanding of karma suggests that you must slowly burn off these negative causes through years of ascetic practice or suffering. You must pay the debt.
Nichiren Daishonin rejected this linear, punishing view of cause and effect. He taught that by focusing the power of your life on the mystic law through the practice of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, you are not merely atoning for past offenses. You are fundamentally dissolving the root cause of the suffering in the present moment. You are changing the trajectory of your existence in instantly. Think of it this way. Karma is a debt written on a scroll. Traditional methods require you to pay it back penny by penny, sometimes taking lifetimes. The law of Nichiren is a bankruptcy declaration backed by the universe. When you chant Daimoku, you are not just paying the debt, you are tearing up the scroll itself. This is why Nichiren did not fear the persecutions. He provoked them. He understood that the faster and more intensely the fixed karma manifested, the faster it could be eliminated. He knew that the ultimate demonstration required the ultimate threat.
His ultimate test came on September 12th, 1271, at Tatsunokuchi. He was dragged out for execution, the ultimate manifestation of the karma of slander against the true law. His neck was placed on the block. The executioner raised his sword. In that moment, Nichiren did not beg for his life. He challenged the universe. He challenged the law itself to prove its reality. And then, according to the historical accounts, a brilliant object, a luminous sphere, shot across the sky, terrifying the executioners. They dropped their swords. The execution was halted. Nichiren was spared. What happened at Tatsunokuchi was not a miracle in the sense of divine intervention. It was the absolute, undeniable proof that the power of the mystic law had fundamentally transformed the fixed karma of execution into the foundation for the ultimate revelation of his identity as the true Buddha.
He proved that the most severe, life-ending poison could be instantly converted into the ultimate medicine, the confirmation of his mission. When you face your own Tatsunokuchi, that moment when the weight of depression or anxiety feels like the executioner's sword is hovering over your life, you are standing on the same sacred ground. You are not being punished. You are being given the ultimate opportunity to prove the law. Your challenge is not to run from the darkness. Your challenge is to chant directly into the darkness, to look that fixed karma in the eye and declare, I am using this suffering to prove the power of my life. You chose this moment. You chose this difficulty, not because you are weak, but because you are the Bodhisattva of the earth, and this is your stage for the ultimate demonstration. This brings us to the core understanding of the depressed Bodhisattva.
If you are experiencing profound suffering, if you have inherited a karma so deep that it manifests as chronic emotional pain, it is because your life has the capacity to transform that suffering into the deepest joy and the most undeniable proof of the law. You are not merely fighting a chemical imbalance, though that is the physical manifestation. You are fighting the fixed karma that you voluntarily assumed to demonstrate the power of the law in the latter day. You are proving that the human spirit, armed with the Daimoku, can conquer the fundamental darkness inherent in life. This transformation requires a radical shift in perspective that Nichiren called the principle of Juji Nyorai, the Buddha who emerged from the earth. Juji Nyorai, the Buddha who emerged from the earth. This is the central, revolutionary truth Nichiren Daishonin revealed, that those who propagate the mystic law in this most chaotic and challenging era, the latter day of the law, are not historical figures or celestial beings floating down from a distant paradise. They are people who emerge directly from the ground of reality. They emerge from the suffering itself. They are coming from here. Your identity, if you are drawn to this teaching and wrestling with profound suffering, is defined by a great vow, a gansho. Before this life, before you took this body, you made a choice. You looked at the desolate landscape of the latter day of the law, a time defined by confusion, despair, and the crumbling of traditional spiritual structures. And you declared, I will go there. I will take on the heaviest karma necessary to prove the power of the mystic law.
Why would any enlightened being choose a life riddled with anxiety, chronic pain, or the suffocating darkness of what the world calls clinical depression? Because the deeper the darkness, the more undeniable the proof of the light. You did not come here to have an easy life. You came here to fulfill the vow of the Bodhisattva of the earth, to demonstrate the transformation of the hardest, most fixed karma. The suffering you carry, the generational trauma, the emotional paralysis, the persistent feeling of worthlessness, is not a sign of failure. It is the raw material you specifically requested to forge the ultimate proof. Nichiren taught that the fundamental darkness of life, what we call fundamental ignorance, is not a separate entity to be defeated. It is inseparable from the fundamental enlightenment in all life. The moment you sit down and chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, you are not trying to escape your karma. You are activating the vow you made to confront it head on.
You are not chanting to become the Buddha. You are chanting as the Buddha, activating the dormant mission within your life. The concept of fixed karma, the deep suffering that seems inescapable, is precisely the canvas upon which the Bodhisattva paints their masterpiece. If you had been born into perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect serenity, your demonstration would be meaningless to the suffering masses. Your victory would lack authority. But because you understand the crushing weight of the shadow, because you have walked through the valley of despair, when you emerge victorious, your voice carries the undeniable authority of experience. This is why Nichiren repeatedly stressed the importance of facing persecution. Persecution was not a setback, it was confirmation. It was the necessary friction required to polish the mirror of the life state. He wrote that the greater the hardships befalling him, the greater the delight he feels because of his strong faith.
Delight in hardship. This is not masochism. This is absolute confidence that the suffering is serving a higher, predetermined purpose. When the world sees your suffering and says, that is a flaw, the Bodhisattva of the earth replies, that is my mission. Your diagnosis is not your destiny. Your diagnosis is the starting point of your mission statement. The Daimoku is the engine that converts the heavy fixed karma of suffering into the fuel of the Bodhisattva's actions. It is the immediate, direct reversal. You are not waiting for relief. You are transforming the cause of the suffering into the cause of enlightenment, right here, right now. This is the radical, empowering truth of Nichiren Buddhism. You are not a victim of your past lives. You are the author of your future mission, using the inherited suffering as the very proof of your absolute, undeniable victory.
The only failure is to waste the magnificent, terrible gift of this profound karma by running from the Gohonzon. Sit down.
face the darkness and chant the vow you made before time began. The vow you made before time began is the vow of the Bodhisattva of the earth. You did not choose an easy life. You did not choose comfort. You chose the hardest possible ground upon which to plant the seed of enlightenment. Because only on the hardest ground can the strength of the Buddha be truly demonstrated. Nichiren Daishonin's life was the absolute proof of this principle. His entire existence was a relentless series of persecutions, exiles, and assassination attempts. By any ordinary standard, his karma was catastrophic. He was the most hated man in Japan, banished repeatedly, his life constantly in danger. Yet, he never wavered in his conviction that his suffering was not punishment, but confirmation.
He understood that when the forces of darkness, the fundamental negativity inherent in the universe, see the emergence of the true law, they react violently. The greater the reaction, the more certain the truth. Think of the Tatsunokuchi persecution. He was marched to the execution grounds, prepared to lose his head. Most people facing the sword would be consumed by fear, regret, or despair. They would question their faith. But at that moment, Nichiren was not consumed by fear. He was consumed by profound realization. He was shedding the transient identity of a mere monk, realizing the ancient vow he had made. The suffering, the imminent execution, was the necessary catalyst for this revelation. It was the moment he opened his eyes to the truth of his mission and the truth of the Dharma. He wrote that he achieved the state of shedding the transient and revealing the true. The suffering did not kill him, it elevated him.
This is the absolute difference between the philosophy of Nichiren Daishonin and every other approach to suffering. You are not enduring hardship, hoping for a reward in the next life. You are using the hardship as the immediate platform for self-realization in this life. When you sit before the Gohonzon and the heavy weight of your fixed karma, your depression, your anxiety, your chronic pain threatens to crush you, you must remember Tatsunokuchi. Your suffering is the execution ground where the transient, limited self must die, allowing the eternal, limitless bodhisattva to emerge. If your karma was light, your mission would be minor. If your suffering was negligible, your victory would inspire no one. The depth of your present darkness is directly proportional to the magnitude of the light you are destined to generate.
Nichiren taught that we are the bodhisattvas of the earth who vowed to appear in the latter day of the law, precisely when suffering is deepest and the teachings are most obscure. We chose this life, this body, this specific set of challenges as the perfect stage for our demonstration. You are not an accident. Your life is not a mistake. The specific configuration of your suffering is the armor you chose for this specific battle. When you chant Daimoku, you are not begging the universe to remove the armor. You are polishing it. You are activating the function within that armor that allows you to transform poison into medicine instantly. The sickness, the despair, the financial ruin, these are the raw materials. They are the heavy, dense elements that, when subjected to the immense pressure of the Daimoku, are fused and transformed into the diamond of Buddhahood.
If you are struggling right now, if the darkness feels absolute, then you are standing at the very threshold of your deepest mission. This is the moment of greatest opportunity. Do not allow the world or the transient voice of your own limited self to convince you that this suffering is a sign of weakness or failure. It is the signature of your greatness. It is the proof that you are exactly where you vowed to be, preparing to accomplish the most profound transformation possible, the transformation of fixed karma into mission. The winter never fails to turn into spring, but the spring is not a reward for enduring the cold. The spring is the inevitable, powerful result of the life force that was gathering strength beneath the frozen ground. Your chanting is the life force. Your suffering is the winter. The victory is the spring, and it is absolute. Nichiren wrote that those who embrace the Lotus Sutra are destined to be struck by the three powerful enemies.
These enemies are not external demons. They are the forces that arise internally and externally to obstruct your transformation. They appear precisely because your mission is so vital. When you feel the pressure mounting, when the obstacles seem insurmountable, do not retreat. Recognize the sign. You are activating the law. You are fulfilling the prophecy. The moment you accept the premise that your suffering is self-chosen for the sake of the law, the entire dynamic shifts. You move from the position of the victim to the position of the commander. The commander does not complain about the battlefield. The commander utilizes the terrain to achieve victory. Your specific suffering is your terrain. Use it. This path demands courage. It demands a faith that defies logic and external evidence. It demands that you look at the heaviest, darkest aspects of your life and declare, "This is my greatest asset. This is my proof." There is no room for passive acceptance here.
This is not about quiet resignation. This is about active, aggressive transformation. The Daimaku is the roar of the lion. It is the sound of the Bodhisattva confronting the darkness, not asking for permission, but asserting the fundamental reality of the universe. Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, the fusion of reality and wisdom, the fusion of suffering and enlightenment, the fusion of your fixed karma and your eternal mission. Stop lamenting what you have been given. Start utilizing what you have chosen. Your depression is not a life sentence. It is the magnificent canvas upon which you will paint the greatest victory of your existence. The time for hesitation is over. The time for the mission is now. Face the Gohonzon, face your karma, and roar the vow you made before time began. You have accepted the assignment, but acceptance is just the first step. Execution is everything. This law is not a philosophy to be debated in academic circles.
It is a technology for absolute victory in the trenches of your daily life. When Nichiren Daishonin inscribed the Gohonzon, he created a mirror that reflects the inherent dignity and Buddhahood within your own life. It is not an idol to be worshipped. It is the physical manifestation of the ultimate truth, and it is the focal point for your own internal revolution. When you sit before it, you are not engaging in passive meditation. You are performing a surgical procedure on your own life. Nam-myoho Renge Kyo is the mechanism that allows you to tap into the infinite reservoir of the universe, the reservoir that you fundamentally are. It is the sound that breaks the chains of fundamental darkness, the chains forged by the ignorance that tells you you are small, weak,
or unworthy. Every moment of chanting is a moment of purifying your life down to the core. You are not begging for enlightenment. You are declaring its presence. This is the process of converting poison into medicine.
The depression, the anxiety, the fixed karma that binds you, this is the poison. The practice of Daimoku is the medicine. Nichiren taught us that the greater the poison, the more potent the medicine must be. The suffering you experience is merely the raw material. It is the energy waiting to be redirected. Your deep, unrelenting struggle is precisely what gives you the fuel to achieve a state of life that those who have coasted through existence cannot even imagine. You are not aiming for normalcy. You are aiming for absolute, unshakable happiness that is forged in fire. You are converting the deep suffering of the ninth consciousness, the storehouse of all past actions, into the fuel for absolute happiness in the 10th world, the world of Buddhahood. This transformation is not just for your benefit. It is the required proof that the law works. It makes you a living embodiment of the sutra.
Your victory over your deepest darkness becomes the light that guides others out of their own hell. This is the Bodhisattva vow in action. You cannot achieve this transformation through introspection alone. You cannot think your way out of karma. You must chant your way out of it, or rather, chant your way through it. The moment you chant, you activate the seed of Buddhahood that has been dormant. You start rewriting the script of your destiny at the most fundamental level. Stop waiting for external validation. Stop waiting for the feeling of happiness to arrive before you chant. You chant to create the feeling. You chant to summon the state of life.
The mentor, Daisaku Ikeda, taught us that faith is to stand up. Practice is to exert yourself. Study is to understand the depth of your mission. If you are suffering, your faith is weak, your practice is inconsistent, or your study has not penetrated the core of your existence. This is not a condemnation. It is a diagnosis. The cure is available, and it is immediate. Your life is a continuous stream of cause and effect. Do not waste another second generating the causes of defeat.
The ultimate purpose is the establishment of Kosen Rufu, world peace, which begins with the revolution in your own single life. You cannot save the world until you have saved yourself from the hell you willingly entered. Take the pain you have carried. Take the diagnosis you were given. Take the doubt that whispers in the dark corners of your mind and turn it into the ultimate, unshakable faith. Your mission is simple, yet terrifyingly difficult. Prove the power of the law. You volunteered for the hardest mission. Now execute the mission with the fiercest determination. The time for analysis is over. The time for action is now. Rise, sit down, face the reality of your life, and roar the vow you made before time began. Nam-myoho Renge Kyo.
the sound of the eternal spring, the sound of your absolute, inevitable victory.